Presentation.
Yep. Hello judges, we are True. I'm Natalie, this is Autumn, Kiana, and Lauren. Let's talk a little bit along the lines why True even exists. When I was in 6th and 7th grade, I went through anxiety and depression, and at that age I didn't really have the resources and education to kind of understand that I'm not the only one going through it. So I kind of felt like I was different, there was something wrong with me, and I didn't have people coming into my classroom kind of giving me the awareness of lots of people go through different things like that. The importance of teens knowing that they're not alone is that hearing other people's stories is what kind of helped me get through my depression. Knowing that I wasn't alone was where hearing it from teens, most people like me and most people in here, when they hear something from their parents, they're not going to really listen to it. They're going to be like, you didn't have social media when you were my age. How can you relate to what I'm going through? So hearing it from teenagers is more impactful, and you'll listen to your peers.
Our ideal customer is between the ages of 13 to 19 years old. The relationship status includes a toxic relationship with parents and a non-healthy friend group. Their gender is mostly girls, but also boys, with a large percent of both LGBTQ. They use platforms such as Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, and Pinterest. Their phone usage was between 9 to 12 hours a day, and we found this out in the interviews.
So our competition, we don't have any direct, but we have lots of indirect. The one thing that's making us really indirect is that we're for youth by youth. We're from teenagers and we're for teenagers, where a lot of these are by professional writers and different people like who are getting paid to do this. And most people, if you're getting paid to do it, they're not going to really relate to it as much. So Chicken Soup for the Teenage Soul, it has different stories and what we're kind of doing, but it's not actually told by teenagers. And same with the blog up there, TEDx Talks, it's by adults. So it doesn't have a lot of the mental health aspects and daily struggles that teenagers are facing. Lots of different apps, but once again, they're made by professionals, so that really is our difference maker. Our solution, if you take a look at the little handout I sent to you, you can just see kind of some different statistics, kind of what teenagers are expected to be, like their perfect self, and kind of how society is killing the teenagers by making them feel like they have to be the perfect person and using filters and changing themselves for society. We know this is a problem because even Facebook and Instagram even knows that it's toxic for teenage girls. They've came out recently with all the data from someone who used to work there. So big companies know this is a problem and no one's doing anything to solve it. So our solution is we want a website for teenagers to share their stories, and it can actually be beneficial for the people sharing their stories because maybe they want to actually go out and tell someone, this is my story, but they might not want to go out and have their name on it. So that's why it's anonymous. So people can actually feel good and get it out like a big relief off their shoulder. We want to create a book for moms and daughters or for their son. And that's just for them to be like, I'm doing better for my kid. I'm helping them out. I'm giving them the resources and I'm giving them the awareness of what to expect in the future. We also bringing different awarenesses and topics. A lot of them focus more on anxiety and depression, where ours is, when I show you our website, is more unhealthy, healthy relationships, discrimination, bullying, all the different mental health. We already have a story about eating disorders and stuff. So it's a more wide variety. It has everything that someone can share about. So it's not those specific ones where you might not hear a lot on the other side of things. And once again, we're from teenagers and for teenagers.
This is our unique value proposition. We know we have a lot of competition, but this is how we are different. We have true stories that show you are not alone, from teens not so different from you. And for example, there is OCD, ADHD, anxiety, bullying, and many more.
So our market size, our total addressable market is 12.5% of the United States population as of 2021, with those customers being between the ages of 10 and 19. Giving us a 41 potential million customers and an $834 million market value. Our serviceable addressable market is another 1.7% of them being from Wisconsin, with another 19.2% of that actually receiving mental health services, giving us, with a $20 book, a $2.7 million potential market value. Going more down to the realistic level, our share of market is a goal of 2,000 viewers or customers that will engage onto our website, giving us a $40,000 revenue in our first year. So our website, I'll kind of just go over why we choose the colors that we do. So all the colors are very inclusivity, and it kind of is there for both genders. It's not all directed to one gender, and it's also a lot of rainbow colors that you see, kind of directing to our LGBTQ community. So if I play this here, you can see it's very, has lots of things to kind of bring you in, feel like the love, kind of what we are, what makes us different, our Pinterest, our different statistics, and then some just different videos that they can watch that might kind of help them understand what we are more. Because we're really trying to just break the stigma, making people not feel so alone and that's okay what they're going through. Then if you go over here to our view our story form. So our story, we have our UVP up here, just some example ideas of what someone might want to use. And then we actually found this out from our counselors, what is like the 4 main topics that teenagers will actually go and talk to someone about. So these are topics that they feel safe and comfortable even talking to adults with. And then we also have other. So we have discrimination, mental health related, so that has all those ones all combined into that. Bullying and healthy or unhealthy relationships, either with friends or like a boyfriend or girlfriend. Then we have what is your story, so it's a paragraph. They can write anything about what they're going through, how they got through it, or even if they're still going through it, because even if someone's still going through it, it's just nice to know that someone's also going through what you're going through. And then would they want their story anonymously shared to our website or book? Some people might just want us to hear what they're going through and might not want other people to actually know. And then do you know other people who are struggling and could use a positive space or source, just kind of giving us a statistic view. Then on here, we get it revised and reviewed by professionals, and we have a team of counselors here that are going to help us find things that aren't triggering to our target audiences. So something that wouldn't trigger someone with depression or something. So we take out like all those triggering words. We auto-correct a lot of them, so if they don't have the right grammar or if they don't have the right punctuation, we'll put that in for them. And then we have it posted up onto our website, which we actually, what I was telling you guys, we just got another one that we'll be working to put back up there. Another thing that we do have is we have different activities like yoga for stress relief, anxiety, mindfulness, affirmations, poetry, breathing exercises, and then we also have a virtual calming room, which I don't know if you guys went to look at, but it has different puzzles, games, just different things that teenagers can do to kind of take their mind off things that they're going through.
This is how we are promoting our brand. We are promoting on TikTok, Pinterest, and Instagram. We're using these hashtags to reach new customers.
So our ask is we are requesting $100 from you. So we want $12 to $15 for our URL, so when you don't have to go straight to our Instagram or our TikTok to be able to go through it, you can just look up TrueU and you can find it right there. We're also going to have our website under different words like empowerment websites or different activities like anxiety, depression. So we're going to have it buried under all those different triggering words. And then $85 to $87 for sponsored posts. With our audience mostly being on social media, the best way to reach them is through social media. So that can really help us, especially with TikTok, just hitting the algorithm and getting to our main audience can help get people onto our website to share their stories. And so with that, it's not just people from Wisconsin, it's from all over the world. And yes, thank you, and then we'll be waiting for questions.
So, just to be clear, you guys are directing people to your website to share their stories. And real quick though, too, thank you for sharing your story at the beginning. That was very cool. I have 3 daughters, so I get it. I know bullying sometimes is an overused term, but just the cyber capabilities now for people. And I have a daughter who's very athletic, and she gets told by boys that she's stronger than that she's fat and other stuff just because she's muscular. So it's like she's very athletic, but I know I talk with them all the time about body image and other things, and boys are dumb, don't listen to them. But I know it's probably, it's peer on peer girls too, so. But so you guys are directing people to share their stories, and then after you accumulate these stories and things, then you're going to delve into a book, is that right?
Yeah, so what we're trying to do is once our website is filled with different stories, we're going to try to make it into a book, even if it's just on a couple topics. So say the 3 main topics is eating disorders, anxiety, and depression, or unhealthy relationships. So what it will be is there will be all the stories from the teenagers that were shared, and then we're also going to have professional, just different advice that professionals would recommend also. So it's not just from teenagers, it also has a professional aspect that we also include, which also can better us not only just being from teenagers, we actually have professionals who are also helping us out with this.
Very cool.
How do you propose to actually generate income from whatever you're doing?
Yeah, so once we create the book, we're obviously going to make money off the book, but since we want to go for a more nonprofit organization, we are going to mostly make money off of different ads that we're going to put on it. So if there's like companies that are kind of all about positivity and stuff, if they're on our website, we can make money for them, so our target audience goes to them.
Not being of your age set, obviously, how do you get people to actually share their stories?
Yeah, so I think really just promoting it on social media, just sharing other people's stories. That's kind of why we wanted to Mr. Wismer came up with the good idea of making a blog/podcast. Just being able to like kind of tell the stories might be like, oh, I relate to something like that. Maybe I want to just like share my story to get the relief off of me. So in that way, the people who are sharing their stories are also getting help and kind of feeling released. And I didn't bring it up earlier, but on each page we have a button that goes straight to our immediate help in case someone's reading it and they're like, wow, I might actually need help. So it has all the different hotlines onto that.
I have to say that's my favorite part, is that, so I've worked with entrepreneurs before that are dealing with that like mental health realm, and they have that piece of part of their business, and this person gets messages from people across the entire world talking about suicide, talking about, if you don't message me back, I'm jumping off of this building. And it's very heavy, and it's very serious, and it puts you as an entrepreneur in a very bad spot. So I appreciate that you have the ability to kind of navigate those conversations and start to shift those to professionals, because if you didn't structure it that way, as entrepreneurs, all of you would be in a really weird spot. So I appreciate that part.
We kind of noticed that like with one of our first stories that got submitted, it had some like really triggering things about cutting themselves and some stuff like that. So when we were revising it with the counselors, obviously, we're like, we can take that part off and kind of tie it in, but without it having the like more harmful words and terms.
So it's anonymous when they're submitting. Okay.
So they don't have to feel like someone's gonna come and be like, oh, you went through this? Oh,
Sure.
And like bully them for that. It's anonymous so they can feel like they're getting it off their shoulders, but they don't have their face on the thing. So they can also feel good by also helping someone else who might need the help.
Is there any sort of disclaimer that they have to like click on or anything? Because if you're going to use their content to like start monetizing later, I wonder the legalities behind like you using some. I mean, if they're obviously they're saying yes, you can use it because they're submitting it, but I wonder if maybe thinking about adding a disclaimer like, hey, you know, we're going to share this on our social medias, Facebook, that kind of thing. That might be something to consider.
Yeah, and once we get the actual book going and stuff, we're gonna probably have that more tied in. But right now, it's just for our website. That's why we just have, would you want this shared onto our website before we actually go into the app or book idea.
I really like your survey idea. I think, you know, that's something that you guys could even expand upon more to include more in. Your website is really cool. I'm trying to wrap my head around how it would be a nonprofit kind of, but you know, it's a cool concept. But even creating, asking people in that survey if they'd like to be part of a private group that you guys have hosted on your website, that people could come to you to ask anonymous questions or help or support would be a cool, perhaps a cool part.
And we were, for like our app, we had more things obviously in an app that you can do on a website, and one of them was like kind of a messaging feature, but we also didn't want it to be like a messaging feature where people could message back to each other, because we don't want someone to be like, hey, I saw you post this story, and like kind of go on them for that. But we were also thinking that if there was one where they could actually reach out to us, kind of, so we can get them the help that they need, and that's why we also put the immediate help up on our website.
What is the cost to design and do with all this on your website?
So I mean, we pretty much have our whole website like made out, and it's just going to be like the 12 to 15 to actually have it onto a URL so people can find us more easily. So So it's not that expensive. Once we go into the app aspect is where we're gonna need more money, and we're gonna obviously need more competition and customers to get to there.
Can you explain your roles in the company?
Sure. Okay,
Not
so-
necessarily you, but if you guys want to chime in too.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the one who came up with the idea. Ever since I was in 8th grade, I created a program called Empowering Teens for Better Self-Esteem. So I'm in the Miss America organization, so I took that and it became my social impact initiative. So I go and talk about that in the schools and to different companies and just kind of bring more people in on that. So I've been talking about that ever since I was in 8th grade, and now I'm a sophomore. So I have the passion for that, and I kind of came up with this idea. It's another step into helping other teenagers. And I mean, the reason I knew that it was such a big topic to hit wasn't because I was the only one going through it. It's because the more I was in schools talking about it, the more people who came up to me and told they were also going through similar issues. And even after like Miss Wisconsin, people would come up and they'd be like, I had a really hard time. It's nice to like see that someone such like as you and like a pretty dress and whatever, which you wouldn't think I would go through those issues, is also going through something that they are. So it kind of helps people go through that. So I'm kind of more of the speaker, I guess, if you can tell, because I do a lot of speaking and interviews. So, you guys?
Well, me and Natalie, well, we went through Computer Essentials with Mr. Wismer, so we're like the helpers to try to like design, like not make it look sloppy, like make it look nice on the website, and like when eventually we get to our app.
Cool.
I kind of just do the same as them.
It's a lot of back end work.
Yeah.
Good job.
Nice job, ladies.